The Canadian public wants an election. When do they want it? Now. When are they going to get it? Not anytime soon. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist with the Toronto Sun. New Ipsos poll shows 77% believe we should have an election immediately. Not soon, not in the spring, not in the fall, immediately. Darrell Bricker is the CEO of Global Public Affairs at Ipsos, joins me now to talk about this. Uh, Darrell, you polled on a number of questions related to the Trump tariffs. This and 82% want some type of retaliation. Uh, uh, let's just start with this. Those are two very big numbers, and you poll Canadians on all kinds of stuff. Getting that many people to agree to something, it can be tough sometimes, right?
Yeah, we can't get them to agree on the time of day, the color of the sky, and many other things. But there's two things that I know that they do agree on. Three things. One of them is they want an election. Three-quarters of us, actually more, 77% say they want an election because of what's going on in the United States with tariffs right now. And they feel that the government needs a strong mandate in order to be able to deal with this situation. The second thing is they also think that Canada should be tough in terms of how they respond to what's going on in the United States relative to our trade relationship. And as you said, 82%. And the other thing is the highest number I've ever seen for this at the federal level in Canada, and it's not in this poll, it was a previous poll that we did, 78% saying they want a change in government. So there's a
78%.
highest I've ever seen. And this is the context that's going on right now in terms of Canadian public opinion. And we asked about, the willingness of the public to entertain an election a couple of polls ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. And we asked the public whether or not we should have an election. And it was kind of like 52, 54%. It was like a carbon election, carbon tax election, as is being discussed by Pierre Poilievre. Not nearly the same level of demand for that election as there is for the demand for this election, which would be one that is really driven by giving our prime minister, whoever that's going to be, a really strong hand and public mandate for being able to deal with what Canadians are increasingly seeing as a crisis.
Sometimes when you get big numbers, you can look and there'll be super strong support in one area, less so in another region of the country. We do have those big regional differences. What I found interesting in this poll was going across geographic lines, going across demographic lines, men, women, age. It would move up and down a couple of points, but it was pretty consistent.
Yeah, that actually, thanks for taking a look at that because most people don't usually pay attention to that. Yeah,
You
it
taught me
was
how to
something
read
that
a
really,
poll, so I do it well.
well, and you did do it well because that's exactly the point. This is a broad public consensus. So people in Alberta, Quebec, Atlantic Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, British Columbia, Ontario, they all basically feel similarly on all of these questions. So it's not like we see people in Quebec saying, oh, no, no, we shouldn't have an election. They want an election. It's not like people in Alberta saying we shouldn't have an election. They're all saying similar levels to what we're seeing in the province of Quebec that we should have an election. So this is a broad and deep consensus.
Now, on the question of retaliatory tariffs, of course, that's been a bone of contention with some premiers. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith doesn't think that it should happen. And yet in her province, it's over 80% or at 80%. I can't remember the exact figure that say, no, we should have strong retaliatory tariffs.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that I looked at pretty closely, and that was, how they feel about retaliatory tariffs. And then we did ask specifically about oil and gas. And 54% of Canadians say, or actually 54%, let me do this correctly. 45% of Canadians say it shouldn't be on the table, that we shouldn't be talking about oil and gas, which is kind of the position of the government of Alberta. So Canadians don't generally agree with it. And you would think that Albertans would be wildly on the other side of this, and they're not. Only 54% of Albertans think that oil and gas should not be on the table. So it's not like there's huge numbers even behind the Danielle Smith agenda at the moment. Her position on oil and gas. Now this is just starting. We'll see what rolls down the table between now and February 1st, and then what happens after that. But this is, I think, where these numbers are starting. They will grow probably as people start feeling the effect of this. One of the things that we also asked is, do you think that this is going to have an effect on you personally? In other words, do you think the U.S. tariffs will have an effect on you personally? Canadians are 71% of Canadians say that they believe that it will. So this is not something that's philosophical or you're discussing casually, information that's in the news and developing opinions. These are things that this is something that people feel will have a direct effect on their day-to-day lives.
It's not a theoretical question like when you ask on climate change, should big carbon polluters pay? Yes. Okay, well, you're a consumer, so we're going to put tax on you. Oh, no, I don't want that. People seem to feel, viscerally that this is going to hit them.
Yeah, they feel it's going to hit them. They feel that Canada has to fight back. They also feel like 55% of Canadians feel that Donald Trump is bluffing. In other words, this is just part
Yeah,
of a negotiating
I've
strategy. But
I don't.
this is where their minds are right now. And as I said, their opinions are going to get clarified by the events themselves, and we're going to see over the next couple of weeks as some of these things, if they do come into play, and I strongly anticipate that they will. What Canadians actually experience when this happens. But at the moment, they think that we're in kind of a negotiating position. They feel that we need to have a strong leader pulling together whatever this Team Canada approach is going to be. At the moment, 59% say that that's, we should all get behind Justin Trudeau, which is his best numbers on just about anything that you could look at. But still, that's only 59. You would think, given that people really are united and they want to have a strong reaction to the United States, that those numbers would be higher.
Well, I think we go back to the 77% who won an election. They want to rally
Yeah.
behind the prime minister, but they want a different prime minister at this point, is how I would read that. Darrell, thanks so much for the insights and the time today, and we'll ask our public. So leave a comment on your thoughts on what you're hearing and where we should go from here. Share this video on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.